What is up, people? It is me, Monster58, and welcome back to another video review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Monsterarts Godzilla x Kong The New Empire Skar King. This is a figure that has gotten a lot of controversy ever since it was revealed because I'm going to tell you right now, the promo pictures for this figure did not look great, particularly in the face. Like the body looked perfectly fine, I'll say, but it was the face that got everybody like, huh? Because to me, and I'm still going to tell you this right now, there is something wrong with his face, and I still cannot tell what it is after like 2 or 3 days of just trying to figure out what is wrong with his face. I still cannot pinpoint exactly what is wrong with it, but regardless, taking a look at the box here, you do have some very nice artwork here on the back, and then you have the product shot of Skar King here. You have the Monsterarts Godzilla x Kong, the New Empire Skar King from Godzilla x Kong, the New Empire, obviously. You do have some more nice text here, and then you have more nice product shots there. More text here, Godzilla. Skar King from, Skar King from Godzilla x Kong The New Empire, and then your obligatory product shots, which there are a fair few, and then you can see there's also an extra accessory here for Kong, so we'll go over that as we get into the rest of the figure. But yeah, when it comes to this figure in the box, I'll say the box actually looks pretty good, as per usual when it comes to any of these box arts. I think that the companies usually are really good at doing the box art, and so without further ado, alright, ladies and gentlemen, here we have the Monsterarts Skar King from Godzilla x Kong The New Empire out of the box, and I gotta say, like, the actual rest of the body, like I was mentioning in the intro, looks pretty good. So we're gonna take a look at the details here. Zooming in on the face, this is the big point of contention. Like, I don't know what exactly is wrong with it. There's just something that doesn't sit right with me with this. I was trying to compare it to the pictures online and stuff like that, like comparing like his actual face to the CGI model, and I'm just like, I still cannot pinpoint exactly what is wrong with the face. But the face, like, the details are actually kind of fine. Like, the eyes look good, the actual mouth, the nose, the ears, they actually look fine. It's just, I don't know, maybe it's the proportions of it which really makes this figure just not look, its face not look great. But zooming in here, you can see the nice shading here on the fur. I think the fur looks perfectly fine. Like, there's nothing standoff about it, like show-offy about it or anything wild, but it just looks like it's perfectly fine. Some nice shading here on the shoulders. He does look pretty solid all around, and zooming and going here on the back, like, he looks fine. All this nice fur molded in detail, going down to the butt here, down to the legs, even in the feet here. Like, he actually looks fine, like, in terms of the other details. It's just that face that there's something wrong with it, and I'm not exactly sure what is wrong with it. But overall, when it comes to the details, there's nothing too bad about it. There's nothing amazing about it, but it's really that face that is just throwing me off still. And I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments below. If you guys have this figure, or if you've seen it, you have a friend who has it, and you've seen it, and you're a fan of the movies and stuff like that. I'd love to hear your take on what exactly is wrong with this, because I still cannot pinpoint what is wrong with it. But as per usual, we are going to very quickly do our comparisons. So we are going to set Skar King off to the side here. Alrighty, first things first, here he is with the Transformers Legacy United Deluxe Class Infernac Universe Magnus, as per usual. As you can see, Skar King is about a Voyager Transformers size figure, so he's pretty hefty in terms of his size. And so when it comes to Magnus here, it is pretty obvious that he is a bit shorter, but given Skar King's size and though the 6-7 inch scale, this is about how I expected him to scale. Alrighty, folks, and here he is with Kong. Now, this is where the scale kind of goes out of whack, but I actually think that this is more of a Kong issue rather than a Skar King issue. Kong was bigger than Skar King in terms of his bulk, and in general, he was eye-to-eye with Skar King. Even when Skar King was, like, on his fours, like, you know, most monkeys and apes walk around, right? They walk on their forearms and their fists, right? Even when he was like that, Kong was still, like, you know, looking down at him when he was doing that. So, and when you get Skar King on all fours, like, with the figure, he still has to, like, Kong has to kind of be eye to eye with him, but in the movie they were eye to eye, especially when you compare Kong to all of the other Kongs. He towered above all of the other Kongs, really, or most of them at least. And so when you're looking at Skar King here, it's really a Kong issue again. I think that they put Skar King in the correct size, and the reason I say that they put him in the correct size and it's more of a Kong issue is because of this comparison. is with this comparison with Godzilla. And this is also, I think, a case of Godzilla being a little bit too small, especially when you compare it to, like, King Ghidorah and stuff like that. Godzilla should be a little bit bigger than Skar King. Godzilla arguably should be like this. And I don't think, again, I really don't think it's necessarily a Skar King issue. I think his size is perfectly fine. It's just, I think that when you're looking at the grand scheme of things, I think everything should have been upscaled just a little bit more, like from Mechagodzilla to Rodan, to even like the Hayatoys, like the Skullcrawler might have benefited from being a tad bit bigger, but I guess that they were really aiming for that to be in how big he was in the Kong movie. Kong should be a bit bigger, because Skar King, despite being a big monster, he was not any bigger than Godzilla or Kong. He was roughly the same size as them. And so for Skar King to even be a slight bit bigger than Godzilla, that's a bit of a, like, it throws me off. And I know you're saying, well, if it's not a Skar King issue, why would it be a Godzilla and Kong issue? Well, compare it to the other figures. I mean, obviously Mechagodzilla is bigger than both of these two, both Godzilla as well as Kong, and he towers a bit over Skar King. So if we're doing size to size, I really do think that it's more of a Godzilla, Kong, Mechagodzilla issue, Rodan issue, rather than a Skar King issue. So when it comes to the size, he's still perfectly fine. I just wish that Godzilla and Kong were a bit bigger now that you're looking at this. Alrighty, folks, from here is the articulation, and unfortunately, despite it being just fine, that's all it is just fine. Like, it's not amazing, it's not incredibly like terrible. It's just it's there, right? So taking a look at the head, your head can technically do a full 360, but I don't want it to. And then you actually have some joints here. So you have a joint at the base of the neck, and you have a joint at the upper part, so you can get like the wiggle waggle, which is really nice. And then you can also get some nice twisty bits here. And then these parts on the back of his head are also articulated, so you can actually move these up and down as well, which is pretty helpful, especially when you're trying to get him in some poses. And plus with the neck, you can actually push his head down a bit, and then you can also bring it up a fair bit as well. So depending if you want him to have more of a slouch look or more of a like alert look, like you can have that, and that's pretty cool. And then you can go side to side, both on the base like this. You can see you can go on the base right there, as well as the actual just top of the head as well. Arms will do full 360. They have a little more than 90 at the elbow, which is a bit of a shame. You think that he would have, like, they could bend all the way considering he is so lanky, but they can't. A wrist also have articulation. You also have articulation here. Then the issue I have with the wrists, unfortunately, is when it comes to the wrists, these are very loose. Like, they just come off. So if you're twisting the hands, you're gonna have to twist like the whole, like both these parts, because like it perfectly fits like this ball joint in the way that this part is shaped into the hand. So anytime you twist it and it goes past its limits, it's just not going to cooperate. So I mean, you can get a little bit of up and down, but it's still really annoying because of how loose these are in there. Like, that's really annoying. You do get some side to side here. You can twist a bit as well. You could get a full 360, but I'm not willing to push it past its limit. You have an ab crunch, and then you can go back a fair bit, but more down than up as well. Legs can kick forward. They can kick back a little bit. I also didn't say you have rotations here. You have rotations here. That's my fault. But legs can kick forward. They can kick back. You have that much for the knee. It was actually a significant amount. I thought you were going to get less, but significant amount the knee. Then you have a little bit of ankle here. So the issue I also have is because of the way the feet are designed. You can see how they're designed, this little curve here. This guy, I have a hard time standing him up. I'm not going to lie. Like, him just standing straight up like this. See if I can actually just get him to stand up like I just had him for the majority of the review. It's actually quite annoying to get him to stand up like that. Because he is built like an orangutan, right? Which is very much what he's based on. I mean, you can very easily tell the orange fur, the length of his arms, and stuff like that, right? Especially if you watched Planet of the Apes last year. Right? It's just, I think he's top heavy, and the feet don't give him the support enough to be able to like support that weight, and so unfortunately he tends to lean back or fall forward a good bit of the time, and that's a bit unfortunate. But overall, when it comes to the articulation, while not terrible, it's not amazing either, so it's just okay. Alrighty guys, now it's time to get into the accessories. And so when it comes to the accessories, he comes with a fair bit of nice ones, but there are a few to be desired. I wish there was a few extra that he got that would have made this guy even, like, cooler. So taking a look at the pairs of hands, you get 3 pairs of hands. So you get these, like, more closed fist hands. They're not fully closed fists, but they're more closed than the hands that he currently has on. So these are pretty nice. Again, paint is just fine, detail is just fine. Nothing crazy, but there you go with those. You do have the fully closed fists. Those are pretty good. And these are actually not the ones that you would want for him to walk on all fours. These are just regular fists for punching. And then these are the ones that you want to have him when he's on all fours. So you have him like this, right? And then he can walk on all fours. Next you have is the yelling face, and this is where everyone was making fun of this figure. I think actually this looks better personally than the actual, like, straight face on here. It looks fine. It's just, I don't know if it's the mouth that's really the issue here. The eyes, the ears, everything else looks fine. I don't know if it's the proportions of the mouth and maybe the side of the head. I don't know. But it looks fine. I mean, the paint is nice. It's nothing crazy again, but at the end of the day, it gets the job done. The face that I think is absolutely missing from this, it's criminal that they didn't add this one, is a smiling, smirking face like when he was laughing at Kong. That was one of the funniest scenes in that movie, was him, like, laughing at Kong, and one of the, like, memeiest moments of it. You see memes of that. Like, I have literally, I'll put the meme image on screen right now that I use and I send to my friends. Like, this is one of the funniest memes from the movie in my opinion. Like, it's a really good face, and it's a shame that they didn't do that, because Skar King had this really cool personality in terms of, like, he wasn't just like a mean, angry villain. He was like this, he was this king that really was just very, like, he laughed at anyone else. He had no remorse. He was genuinely evil. Like, he was a really good character, and to not have that face is a bit of a shame. Alrighty, and the next set of accessories is actually for Kong. So for Kong, you do get the gauntlet. So you do get it, and it's really cool. It's obviously super limited, and obviously in the movie it was limited because it was mainly used to repair his arm after he got hurt in the fight. But it does look good. It does come with the closed fist, but it do have the open hand on. It's very easy to change out. All you have to do is pull this off, and then here's, like, the closed fist, and then you do have the ball joint right there, and you do have the joint in the fist, or the hole in the fist, and then you can just plug that in. So not too bad at all. The issue I have with this, you also come with, like, a semi-closed fist, like, kind of almost like the hands that Skar King got, so you can see that right here. Semi-closed fist. But the issue I have with this is when we take the Kong I have, don't get me wrong, I understand that they had to paint the Kongs for the releases different colors, obviously to represent the different movies, but also to be able to differentiate the releases a bit more. This does not match this Kong. I don't know how you can tell, if you can tell, but I think it's appearing decently on camera, but this color of this arm does not match the fur on this Kong, and this is the first Godzilla X Kong release, the one with Mechagodzilla in it, that movie, right? So unfortunately, that is not the case. Now, you may be wondering, what is this for? Well, this is for the ball joint. So let me see if I can remove this and show you what I mean. So if we remove Kong's arm here, and this is going to be a bit tough. Yes, so it comes out with the ball joint here attached, usually. Not all the time, but it does. This tool is meant to be used, so you can pull this up, you pull it in like this, with this little hook section, and then you just pull up, and it really feels scary to do that. And then it pulls the ball joint out of there so that you don't have to, like, manhandle pull it out. I have seen people pull the entire thing out. I have seen that, and that really does suck. It's not too bad to put back in, but the fact that that happens is a bit annoying. And then what you can do is you can take this ball joint. It's the bigger end is the one that goes into the body. Let's see if I can point that out. It's hard to see on camera. It's really hard to tell, but I can tell in person. There's one, and of course I drop it. There we go. One of these ball joints is slightly bigger than the other one, and that's the one that goes into the actual, like, body of Kong, while the smaller one will go into the arm. So what you can do is you can just take this and you just push it in like so, and then we will grab Kong's arm, and then we can just attach that, like, So, and there, he has his gauntlet, which does look really, really cool. It's just, if you pay attention to the fine details like I do, you'll definitely blatantly see, especially in better light, that this arm is completely discolored from the rest of this release of Kong. I get why. It makes sense, right? Differentiate the releases, but it still does irk me a little bit. And if you're wondering what this is for, the other point that they put in the instructions is you can put the ball joint in here, and then you can attach the arm to it as well, so that you can have it, just attached here, so it's not like flailing about or anything like that. I'm not going to choose to have it like that, but the fact is you can do that, and that is a feature that you have here. But Kong does look cool with it. Again, I think he looks really, really nice. Like, the fact that he can do this, like, that is really cool. Like, I think that is a very cool pose to be able to give Kong one of the most iconic poses in the movie, right? So, very, very cool stuff. Like, I'm very happy with it. Again, it's just the discoloration is very blatant here. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, you can see the discoloration from this to this. It's just not the same color. So, yeah. Alrighty, folks, and the last and most important accessory that this guy does come with is going to be the whip. The bone whip that he had, with essentially Shimo's little control crystal on the end of it. This is really cool, actually. This is probably the best accessory out of all of them. It's made with the bendy wire, like you can very much tell it's bendy wire. And my only concern with this is obviously over time that you've been bending it, how much that wire will end up poking through. But the plastic feels pretty sturdy, and I do like how it looks. Like, you have all these bone segments, that looks really cool. And this is the end where he can actually hold it, which is really, really cool. So overall, like, it looks nice. And then I've been bending it and twisting it like so, and it's perfectly fine. It holds its shape really well. If you want to recreate like the major thing in the movie, like his pose, so what you can do is you can wrap it around here like so, and then what I like to do is wrap it around his shoulder, and then you can pull it down like that. And then this is like the iconic pose that he had with the bone, the bone whip wrapped around his body like so. Like, it's a bit tough, especially when you've been bending it a lot. Let's see. There we go. That looks pretty cool, doesn't it? Like, I think that looks really neat. And this is how he should be. This is how I'm going to display him. He looks really, really good like this. And so, like I told you, he can hold it. So that those hands that were like slightly closed fist hands, those are used to hold it. So what you can do is you can... So let's remove the whip for now, and then, because it just helps. Then we'll put the hand on. Like I showed you, it's very easy to just remove these. When I was showing you how the hands very easily pop off, you can just pull them off. And then you can hold it like so. Just put it in. I like to just grip it like this. And then now he's holding on to the whip. And then you can... Let me see if I can get it in a better pose than that. And we'll just come here. Oops, wrong way. Excuse me. Come on. There we go. Got it. And then he can hold it, right? And then you can get it into some pretty cool poses. Now, I'm not going to put it in an insanely cool pose now, but you guys get the idea, right? Like, it's really cool. He can hold it like so, and I think that's really awesome. Like, very, very neat in the way that they're able to do this. And you can absolutely get him in the pose where he is, trying to control Shimo with the crystal at the end. So overall, really cool accessory. Now, speaking of accessories, the last thing I will say about them is there's one more thing I wish they would have added. And the reason I say that is because of a recent SH Figuarts release. With SH Figuarts King Cold, one of the defining accessories that he came with was his throne. And because of that, I thought that when I was thinking about like other accessories they could have given this guy, except like a smirking, smiling, laughing face, a throne. One of the defining things that we saw with Skar King, especially in the trailers and the teasers for this movie, was the fact that this guy had a throne. And to give him like a stone, old, broken down throne would have been cool. It would have jacked up the price even more. But at the end of the day, I think that and the smirking face would have given this guy more justification, as well as just fixing his face. Again, I don't know what's wrong with his face. Please leave in the comments below what you think is wrong with this face. But overall, when it comes to the accessories, they're pretty solid, but there are a few things, specifically the throne, as well as a smirking, smiling face that was a shame that they had to not be added here. So, Alright, so guys, for my final concluding thoughts on the SH Monsterarts Godzilla X Kong The New Empire Skar King, the main villain of Godzilla X Kong, this guy is fine. The issue I have with him is really the face, and the fact that he's not super, like, amazing. I get he's an ape, and there's not that much you can do, I guess, in the flashiness of being a gorilla or an ape in terms of, like, a figurine, right? Like, with Godzilla, you have his spine, and even with Kong, like, I'll say the Kong releases are just kind of very, like, they exist, right? Like, obviously we need a Kong, but at the end of the day, he's just kind of an ape, and so when it comes to fantasy stuff, he doesn't have any, like, beams or spikes or anything like that. The coolest thing that Kong has, really, is the axe, right? And so, the axe, other than the axe, he would just be, just a gorilla, right? Like a giant gorilla, that's all he is. And so, when it comes to this guy, he does get differentiated with the bone whip. You do have the extra hands. You do get the extra accessories for Kong with the gauntlet and his extra hands. It's just a shame that I think they could have absolutely put in a smiling, laughing face instead of just the angry, yelling face. In addition to that, I also think that they absolutely could have put in like a throne. And that, of course, would have jacked up the price. But let's go over the good versus the bad. The good, he looks perfectly fine in terms of the details and stuff like that, like the paint applications and whatnot. It's just the face that really hurts. The accessories, while being a bit lacking in my opinion, still they're pretty good, especially when you get the extra accessories for Kong. But the issue I have with the Kong accessories, it doesn't match any of the other Kong releases with the paint. What are you going to do? I understand why, but it still doesn't make me any less upset about it. And this guy also, the cool thing is I think he scales quite well. It's just, I think it's more of a Godzilla and a Kong issue rather than a Skar King issue. Bad things, the face, doesn't look great. Lack of a smiling face and lack of a throne accessory is leh. The feet also, this guy tends to be a little top heavy, and his feet don't quite have the support, in my opinion, to be able to support him as well as I would have liked to. And finally, the articulation, while it's solid and it's, like, there's nothing necessarily wrong with it, in my opinion, for a $100 figure, it's a bit lacking. And that also leads me to the fact that he's $100. I'll say that I think he'd be worth more like 90 or 80, I guess, at the end of the day. But obviously, if you added the throne, it'd jack up the price probably like 130 or 140, maybe even 150. And at that price, I don't know if this guy would necessarily be worth it, but the throne would definitely make sense in that context, I guess. But he is a bit expensive. I probably would maybe wait for him to go on sale for like a bit more before picking him up. And so out of a 10, I'm probably going to give this guy a 6 or a 7. He's just okay. Again, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below on what is wrong with his face. It doesn't look nearly as bad as it did in the photos. Like, it looks fine here. It's just there's still something wrong with it, and I don't know what's wrong with it. It's just I've been staring at it for like 2 or 3 days. I just don't know what's wrong with it. I really wish I did. But I did pick mine up on the Big Bad Toy Store, so leave a link in the description to that. Also, see if I can find a link on Amazon so you guys can also pick this guy up there. And he might be releasing in stores. I did see, like, the Mechagodzilla release eventually pop up in stores. So maybe check your local hobby shops and stuff like that. They might have this guy in stock. But if not, I definitely wish you the best of luck otherwise in getting this guy either online or finding this guy IRL. And so I think that's really it. And so I thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. Please like, comment, rate, and subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Also follow me in the socials. Those will be linked in the description below. And with that, guys, once again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video review, and I will catch you all in the next one. Hope you have a wonderful day. Peace. Oh yeah, and I forgot to say, Monke!